A very good evening and welcome to the news tonight, your one stop for the day's top stories. I'm Tracy Shilshi and here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds bilateral talks with Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. India and Australia signed 6 agreements, including one to boost counter-terrorism. Congress-led opposition protests against alleged misuse of the Enforcement Directorate and the CBI against chief ministers of non-BJP ruled states. Chair disallows notice under Rule 267 to suspend business to take up a discussion. Pakistani Army Court sentences Kulbhushan Jadhav to death, calls him a spy and charges him with planning subversive activities for India. And a day after the attacks on 2 Coptic churches, Egypt announces a 3-month emergency in the country. Measure will allow authorities to make arrests and conduct searches without warrants. Starting with Rajya Sabha proceedings, and opposition Congress today faced 2 adjournments of the upper house proceedings in the pre-noon session over alleged misuse of the ED and CBI against chief ministers of non-BJP parties. The government refuted all allegations and slammed the members for causing obstruction. Here are more details. As the upper house met for the day, Congress's Deputy Leader Anand Sharma alleged misuse of the ED and CBI against chief ministers of non-BJP ruled states. The Congress leader also sought suspension of business of the House under Rule 267 to take up a discussion over alleged blatant abuse of authority.
The enforcement agencies, the CBI, the ED, is being used for political vendetta, and that is something what we want to raise, we want to discuss.
No.
And sir, please allow me, the same state next to Delhi, in the state of Haryana, land has been given, Morni Hills has been given to one commercial entity in the name of a herbal park, and whose products are being advertised also being purchased by the government, parliament.
Anand Sharma ji.
Patanjali.
Leader of opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad also joined ranks with Sharma on the issue and accused the BJP chief ministers of various wrongdoings.
Sir, this is a very important subject. We must have a discussion in this house. The BJP, the wrongdoings of the BJP chief minister. Nobody.
That you cannot discuss here.
The subject which Mr. Anand Sharma has raised, there should be a full discussion on the subject, so that everybody can participate.
Honorable
so the entire house can participate.
Okay.
The chair, however, disallowed the notice under Rule 267 and asserted that actions of chief ministers should be discussed in the respective state assemblies, not in parliament.
If there is wrongdoing by any chief minister, it has to be discussed in their assembly, not here, not here, not here, not here.
Unsatisfied with the chair's response, Congress and BSP members marched into the well of the House to raise a pitch against the government. And the government slammed the opposition as well for disrupting proceedings of the House.
I have a request to the chair that whether you ask them to go to the respective seats and then call the members so that the members also will have a free distance.
Protests by Congress and BSP members continued unabated, compelling the chair to briefly adjourn the House twice during 0 hour.
I would request you to please go back. I would request the Honorable LOP to request their members to go back. House is adjourned for 5 minutes.
Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV. Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari today expressed concern over the absence of a minister during question hour. Minister of Environment, Forests and Climate Change Anil Madhav Dave was not present when the listed question on air and noise pollution in Delhi and NCR came up in the upper house. Later, HRD Minister Prakash Javadekar, who was to reply the question on behalf of the Environment Minister, apologized for the incident. Terming it as the most unusual situation, Chairman Hamid Ansari said that it was the responsibility of the minister concerned to be present in the House when a question relating to his ministry is being taken up.
A most unusual situation has arisen. I have not witnessed it for 10 years and probably earlier also, Pip. The accepted practice of the House is that when a question is listed, the minister has to be present. No, I'm afraid you were late.
मैं निश्चित रूप से क्षमा प्रार्थी हूँ बिकॉज देरी हुई, लेकिन बिकॉज दूसरे सदन में भी मेरे मंत्रालय का एक बिल पेश करना था मुझे, लेकिन फिर भी आई सीक योर इंडल्जेंस और दैट्स व्हाट.
The government today informed the upper house that it will implement the Bharat Standard or BS6 emission norms by 2020. Union Minister Prakash Javadekar said that the move will check rising levels of pollution in Delhi and other parts of the country. The government has charted a roadmap to reduce vehicular pollution in the wake of rising levels of particulate matter in Delhi. Union Minister Prakash Javadekar told the House during question hour that a notification has been issued to switch to BS6 norms directly from BS4 norms by the 1st of April 2020.
We have already introduced BS4 for fuel so that there is less pollution. We are straight away going from BS4 to BS6 from 2020. So we have mandated, already issued notification, we have mandated all manufacturers to manufacture cars and vehicles compliant to BS6 norms.
Responding to another supplementary, Rural Development Minister Narendra Singh Tomar informed the House about the benefits unveiled for BPL families in the Northeast.
किसी भी गरीब को जो जरूरतमंद है उस जरूरतमंद तक सरकारी योजनाओं का लाभ पहुंचाएं.
Questions were also raised on thermal power plants in the water-scarce areas and the Bajaj Committee report to address the pending Krishna River water dispute between Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV. Meanwhile, Lok Sabha today approved the Motor Vehicle Amendment Bill 2016 by a voice vote. The bill proposes hefty penalties for various traffic offences, a 3-year jail term for parents of minors caught driving and causing fatal accidents, and a 10-fold increase in compensation for the families of accident victims.
The Lok Sabha on Monday approved the Motor Vehicle Amendment Bill 2016. Road Transport and Highway Minister Nitin Gadkari said the bill seeks to save lives by imposing heavy penalties on traffic violators and protecting good Samaritans. Replying to the discussion on the bill, the minister said the bill aims to ensure 100% e-governance, check bogus driving licenses and vehicle theft.
ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस और वाहन रजिस्ट्रेशन के बारे में व्यापक सुधार करने के लिए हम सक्षम होंगे. ये विधेयक नागरिकों को सरलीकृत एवं उत्तम सेवाएं देने में सहायक होगा. ऑटोमेशन, कंप्यूटराइजेशन ये सब इसमें है.
The bill caps the maximum liability for third-party insurance in case of a motor accident at Rs 10 lakh in case of death and at Rs 5 lakh for grievous injury. The liability for the third-party insurer in motor vehicle accidents will be unlimited. Proposed penalty for drunk driving will be 5 times the current penalty that stands at Rs 10,000.
राज्यों के परिवहन क्षेत्र में सुधार लाने के लिए ग्रामीण शहरी परिवहन एवं लास्ट माइल कनेक्टिविटी में व्यापक परिवर्तन करने का मार्ग प्रशस्त होगा. सड़क दुर्घटनाओं के पीड़ित उनको तुरंत मुआवजा मिलेगा.
The bill was introduced on April 7 in the Lok Sabha. It amends the Motor Vehicles Act 1988 to address issues like third-party insurance, regulation of taxi aggregators and road safety. The Union Cabinet approved changes in the Motor Vehicles Amendment Bill 2016 on March 31st. With Ravindra Sheoran, Pranav Goswami's report for RSTV.
On to other news, and the Election Commission has cancelled the bypolls for the prestigious RK Nagar seat in Chennai over allegations of cash for votes. The EC said that the political parties are now using money power to woo the voters. The Election Commission late on Sunday night cancelled Chennai's RK Nagar bypoll over allegations of cash for votes, saying that electoral process has been seriously vitiated by political parties through the use of money power. The EC's decision comes after the income tax raids found that money was distributed to voters. The EC's order said the current electoral process in Tamil Nadu has been seriously vitiated on account of unlawful activities of the candidates and political parties and their workers by bribing the electors and unlawfully inducing them by offering money and other gifts of consumable items to woo them in their favour. On Friday, searches were conducted against Tamil Nadu Health Minister C. Vijay Bhaskar. Income tax officials had alleged that the Sasikala faction of the AIADMK had paid nearly 89 crore rupees to voters to buy support for its candidate TTV Dinakaran, Sasikala's nephew. He has denied any wrongdoing though.
Normally, ruling party will be blamed always, and they all know that I'm going to win, so they wanted to stop it. Not now. For last 15 days, they are making this allegation.
Income tax officials have secured many documents which even implicate the chief minister and several ministers. Will you ask at least?
Do you think that? Why don't you ask them about the authenticity of the document? Many can give any.
The Pannirselvam faction meanwhile claimed that people have faith in their faction's leader and have asked for the culprit to be disqualified.
எங்களை பொறுத்தளவு நாங்கள் என்றும் மக்களை நம்பிதான் இருப்போம். பண பெட்டிகளை நம்பி இருக்க மாட்டோம். என் இடத்துல பண பெட்டிகள் இல்லை. நான் 21 வருஷம் எந்த பொறுப்புலயே இல்லாத என்ன அழிச்சிட்டாங்க.
The Election Commission's decision to scrap the April 12th bypoll has been hailed by the BJP.
The investigation should be expanded and it should be probed in much deeper way, because the list which was occurred from Vijay Bhaskar's house, Chief Minister name was there and other ministers' names were there. 89 crores. If they would have spent this amount of money in the constituency, instead of giving 4,000 per head in once, they would have earned every month this 4,000 rupees.
राजनीति से धन प्रभाव को समाप्त करने के दिशा में है, इसलिए हम इसको स्वागत करते हैं.
The by-elections in RK Nagar became necessary after the death of former Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha, who represented it for 2 terms. Stakes for the bypolls are high as both factions are trying to claim her legacy. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Violence disrupted the bypolls for the prestigious Srinagar Lok Sabha seat on Sunday. In addition to witnessing its lowest turnout in 30 years, the bypoll for the Srinagar seat saw multiple incidents of violence that resulted in the death of 8 civilians. Scores of people, including many security personnel, were injured as well.
Eerie silence prevailed in the valley a day after it erupted in violence. 8 people were killed and hundreds, including security men, were injured in violent clashes on Sunday during the by-election for the prestigious Srinagar Lok Sabha seat. Protesters targeted 4 dozen places in Srinagar and Budgam districts amid a boycott called by separatists. Prohibitory orders were imposed in Budgam and Ganderbal, where 8 persons were killed in firing by security forces.
There were more than 200 incidents all over this constituency, and more so, and particularly in Budgam district. These incidents included stone pelting, petrol bomb attacks. One of the polling booths was also set ablaze, and there were a few attempts, 2 attempts also to set ablaze polling booths. And because of that, we had to temporarily close polling booths.
The bypoll to the high-profile seat where former Chief Minister Farooq Abdullah is locked in a straight fight with ruling PDP's Nazir Ahmad Khan saw an abysmal 7.4% turnout.
People have fought for this vote and they should be able to utilize this vote. But unfortunately, this government has failed in giving that peaceful atmosphere to the people.
Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti expressed distress over the deaths and said she was pained that most of them were teenagers who are yet to understand the intricacies of the issues. Meanwhile, ahead of Wednesday's bypoll to the Anantnag Lok Sabha seat, 2 government schools designated as polling stations were set on fire in Shopia and Pulwama districts in South Kashmir. After the incident, PDP's Anantnag candidate appealed to the Election Commission to postpone the Lok Sabha bypoll.
हालात को मद्देनजर रखते हुए मैं इलेक्शन कमीशन से अपील करता हूं कि वो इस इलेक्शन को पोस्टपोन करें, मुलतवी करें जब तक हालात साजगार हों। तो ये मेरी उनसे रिक्वेस्ट है।
Criticizing the request, National Conference leader Omar Abdullah said it was an indictment of the government headed by Tasadduq Mufti's sister. He also demanded Mehbooba's resignation over the issue. Abdullah's criticism was echoed by other politicians who hit out at Mehbooba's government for the violence.
तशद्दुद मुफ्ती तो कोई अकेला फैसला करने वाला नहीं हो सकता है ना इसमें स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का अपना क्या व्यू है, इलेक्शन कमिश्नर का क्या व्यू है, और जब हम कह रहे हैं हमने पहले इस चीज का अलर्ट दिया था, अब आखिरी मरहले पर पहुंचने पर चुनाव डेफर करना मुनासिब नहीं है।
लोग वोट देना चाहते थे, लेकिन ऐसा माहौल बना दिया गया खौफ का, डर का, कि लोग घरों से बाहर नहीं आए। और उमर अब्दुल्ला साहब को इस समय सरकार के बजाय वो अलगाववादियों को, पाकिस्तान परस्तियों को और आतंकवादियों को की निंदा करें अगर उमर अब्दुल्ला, तो ठीक होगा। और तसद्दुक मुफ्ती जो अनंतनाग सीट से चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं, उनको घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है, उनको भी हिम्मत दिखानी चाहिए।
Meanwhile, the separatists have called for a 2-day strike to protest the deaths. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Social media platforms continue to be blocked for 48 hours in Odisha's Bhadrak and adjoining places as a precautionary measure to prevent spread of violence. This comes after violent incidents on Thursday over alleged abusive remarks against Hindu deities on social media. Angry protesters from the VHP and Bajrang Dal set ablaze shops and torched police vehicles. Curfew was also imposed on Friday after fresh violence erupted despite prohibitory orders. 8 cases were registered and around 70 people have been arrested in connection with the violence. While social media platforms remain blocked, curfew was relaxed for 4 hours for the third day today.
भद्रक की स्थिति काफी सुधर गई है और धीरे धीरे ये नॉर्मलसी की ओर बढ़ रहा है। कल हमने 4 घंटे के लिए कर्फ्यू में ढील दी थी, आज हमने 5 घंटे के लिए ढील दी है, ऑलरेडी दे दी है। अब तक हम लोग करीब 70 आदमियों को गिरफ्तार करके जेल भेज चुके हैं और करीब 8 केस रजिस्टर हो चुका है ऑलरेडी।
India issued démarche to Pakistan High Commissioner after a Pakistani army court sentenced alleged Indian spy Kulbhushan Jadhav to death today. Jadhav was tried through Field General Court Martial under the Pakistani Army Act. Pakistan's Defence Minister Khwaja Asif said that the sentence will serve as a warning to those plotting against the country. Angered by the development, India also decided not to release about a dozen Pakistani prisoners who were to be repatriated on Wednesday. We'll keep an eye out on developments on that front. Meanwhile, here are more updates from across the country in Nationwide. 4 terrorists were killed as army personnel foiled an infiltration bid in Keran sector of Kupwara district in North Kashmir. According to a defense spokesperson, a group of terrorists tried to infiltrate from across the LOC in Keran sector, but the troops foiled their bid. Search operations are still on in the area. The Supreme Court on Monday dismissed a petition seeking the declaration of the Indus Waters Treaty between India and Pakistan as illegal and unconstitutional. The petitioner argued that the pact was not a treaty at all, as it was not signed in the name of the President of India. But the bench, headed by the Chief Justice, claimed that the treaty has held good since 1960 and does not need any tinkering with. Two members of a group inspired by Al-Qaeda were arrested from Tamil Nadu in connection with a bomb blast in a court complex in Malappuram in Kerala last year. Both were detained based on the interrogation of 5 other members detained last November by the NIA. No one was injured in that blast. The Enforcement Directorate summoned Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Veerbhadra Singh for questioning him in a money laundering probe against him and others. This comes after the CBI filed a charge sheet against him and others for allegedly amassing assets worth around 10 crore rupees. Officials said that the agency issued the fresh summons to record its statement under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act or PMLA. A quick break. More news follows in a bit. Stay with us.
Leaders like Jay Panda, Tathagat Satpathy, we've seen them involved in a Twitter war recently. What is this symptom actually?
These are individuals I don't want to comment upon. There are no other senior leaders where there is a problem.
BJD is going back to the old dark days of 1990s. There was widespread corruption, then sheltering of people with criminal backgrounds. All that is happening right now.
Apart from the chit fund, there is no other issue of allegation of corruption.
What happens to BJD after Naveen Patnaik?
Leadership evolves as times change.
Watch To The Point with B2 Janata Dal leader Pinaki Misra only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Let's get you some more news. India and Australia came together on Monday to call for cooperation among the island nations. On the second day of his 4-day visit to India, Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull indicated his country's resolve to join the India-led International Solar Alliance and agreed to supply uranium to India. At his summit meeting in Delhi with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Turnbull spoke of the need for both nations to take their relations to a new level. The talks between the leaders also focused on supplying high-quality coal.
India and Australia signed 6 deals, including one to boost counter-terrorism after talks with visiting Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull and Prime Minister Narendra Modi at Hyderabad House on Monday. Both nations also agreed to enhance cooperation in civil aviation security, environment, wildlife, sports and medicine. Implementation arrangement between ISRO and Geoscience Australia on cooperation in Earth observation and satellite navigation was also signed. The two leaders held comprehensive discussions on bilateral, regional and international issues of mutual interest and concern.
Our flagship joint research fund, the Australia-India Strategic Research Fund, is Australia's largest with any country, and it's helped our universities, research institutions and companies to solve the practical challenges in critical areas to both countries, including health, food security and energy, as you've noted. But there's room for further growth. We've worked closely with India to meet our respective requirements for the provision of fuel for India's civil nuclear program.
Our future is deeply tied to peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific. We therefore agree on the need for a secure and rule-based Indo-Pacific. I would also like to thank Prime Minister for Australia's decision to join the International Solar Alliance.
Earlier in the day, the Australian Prime Minister was accorded a ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. He also called on External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj and visited Rajghat. Turnbull arrived in India on Sunday on his first visit after assuming office in 2015.
Australia deciding to join International Solar Alliance launched by India is a signal of political convergence between the two countries. And also, since Australia has decided to give uranium to India, it shows that in business also they are trusting to each other. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Television with camera person Shiv Kumar in Delhi.
For our international news, and in Egypt, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi declared a 3-month emergency across the country and ordered military special forces to protect vital infrastructure. This comes after the Islamic State terror group triggered 2 powerful blasts in churches that killed at least 44 people and wounded more than 100 others. Both attacks took place on Palm Sunday, a week before Easter, with Pope Francis scheduled to visit Egypt later this month. A 3-month emergency has been imposed in Egypt after the attacks on 2 Coptic churches that left at least 44 dead.
تم اتخاذها أو سيتم اتخاذها على رأسها إعلان حالة الطوارئ بعد استيفاء الإجراءات القانونية والدستورية.
Calling for national unity, Sisi urged the media to refrain from coverage that could be harmful.
اتخاذ قرار النهارده بتشكيل المجلس الأعلى لمقاومة أو لمكافحة الإرهاب والتطرف في مصر. وده هيبقى على أعلى مستوى هيتم إصداره بقانون. هذا القانون
The Islamic State has claimed the attacks that came on Palm Sunday, considered one of the holiest days in the Christian calendar. In the first attack, a suicide bomber targeted St. George's Coptic Church in Tanta, where 27 people were killed. The next target was the St. Mark's Coptic Church in Alexandria, where 17 people were killed.
يعني بعد الساعة 9 بفتكر الصلاة شغالة وكل واحد قاعد في مكانه، بس الدكك ما كانتش اتملت أول لسه. كنت أنا قاعد قدام شوية. وبعدين فجأة كده حسيت حضرتك زي الدنيا ضلمت مرة واحدة. صوت جامد، أنا جالي زي إغماء أو حد زقني وقعت. في ثواني كده بقوم.
مهما تحصل أحداث إحنا إخوة. الأحداث دي مش مقصود بها المسيحيين، ده مقصود بيها هدم الكيان المصري. لا يمكن الكيان المصري يتهدى أبدا، لا يمكن تحت أي ظرف من الظروف.
Pope Francis, who is due to visit Egypt later this month, expressed his deepest condolences to all Egyptians and the head of the Coptic Church.
L'attentato di quello compiuto purtroppo oggi, questa mattina al Cairo, in una chiesa copta, al mio caro fratello Sua Santità Papa Tawadros II, alla Chiesa Copta e a tutta la cara nazione egiziana esprimo il mio profondo cordoglio.
The assault is the latest on a religious minority increasingly targeted by Islamist militants. It is also a challenge to President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who has pledged to protect them as part of his campaign against extremism. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Russia and Iran renewed their support for the Syrian government in a flurry of calls today. In a telephonic conversation with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani called the US's strike on Friday a blatant violation of Syrian sovereignty. The Iranian president also spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Later in a joint statement, both the sides noted that aggressive US actions against a sovereign state is in violation of international law. Rouhani said that the US strike would not affect Iran's Syria policy, while Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said that Iran would not withdraw in the face of similar aggressions. The US says that Friday's strike was in response to a nerve gas attack on the rebel-held town of Khan Sheikhoun, which has been widely blamed on government forces. However, the Syrian government has denied using chemical weapons. More on Syria and other international news updates now in Global Buzz. The search for a unified approach to the Syria conflict is likely to dominate talks between the G7 group of leading nations in Italy. The foreign ministers will focus on how to put pressure on Russia to distance itself from Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson strongly criticized Russia on Sunday, saying it had failed to prevent Syria from carrying out the chemical attack which left 89 people dead. The US-backed Syrian alliance has taken over a military airport from the Islamic State group. The airfield lies around 10 kilometers south of the town of Tabqa, which is currently held by IS militants. The Syrian alliance is fighting IS at the entrance to the dam, which is one of the top prizes in their campaign to drive the jihadist group from Raqqa city. China and South Korea held talks on Monday, agreeing to apply tougher sanctions on North Korea if it plans to carry out nuclear or long-range missile tests. The two nations have agreed that an even stronger UN resolution will have to be adopted in the event of an additional weapon test by North Korea. The meeting comes after Trump and China's President Xi Jinping held a summit meeting in Florida, where Trump pressed his counterpart to do more to curb North Korea's nuclear program. That's all we could pack in on the news tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.